Welcome to another edition of the Color Pigeons and More TV show, the show that covers all aspects of the pigeon hobby, whether it be racing, performing rollers, flying tipplers, fancy show pigeon, and more. Interviews with well-known pigeon breeders, breed profiles, loft construction and management, pigeon health and treatment, show coverage, genetics, just to name a few. Watch, learn, and enjoy. And now let's go to our host, Danny Joe Humphrey, and see what this show is going to be about.
Well, hello, I'm Danny Joe Humphrey. I'm coming to you today with another pigeon show, number 21 for the series, once a month. Can't believe it's been that long. We got to finish up a show we started last week with the third part of James' tournament on training performing rollers. You got to see this. He's going to show the housing, he's going to show how he breeds them, and he's going to show how he trains them. And one thing you can say about James's birds, if you've never had any of them, I'll tell you this about them. That's all I have now, thanks to him. But anyway, the main thing about his birds, they're small, but the main thing about them is they're smart. You can say anything you want to, but they're smart. They're easy to train, they're easy to kit, they do everything right. And the other thing is, it doesn't take them a year to come into the role. You'll usually see some performance starting on these birds as young as 4 months old, and maybe a little young, about 4 months old. You keep these birds you raise in the spring and you keep them to the fall, you'll know what you got. And then you can pull them out in the air from there and set up your own little breeding program. But James is known for one thing. He's got great performing rollers. A lot of competition rollers uses his particular bloodline. The other thing he's known for is putting colors into the rollers. By that I mean he's taken some colors outside of roller colors. He's brought them into the rollers and he's bred them and got the color, and then he also put the roll back in them. Got some great birds, like I said, easy to train, very pretty to look at. So I want you to stay tuned because we'll be right back with James on the first part of the show. In the second part, what we're going to be doing is I'm going to show you some little loft tips that I've got out here with my own birds, show you how I got some things set up. This may help you. I hope it does. So I want you to stay tuned. Just sit back and enjoy the pigeon action.
Hi, this is Jerry Gagne, Foy's Pigeon Supplies, oldest pigeon supply company in the United States. When Danny Joe approached us about being a part of this great project, we were really excited. If you're looking for pigeon supplies, if you're looking for pigeons, I hope you'll give us a call. Foy's Pigeon Supplies, we're on the internet, just type in Foy's, or if you'd like to call us, it's 1-877-355-7727. Ask about our 204-page all-color catalog. We'd be glad to send it to you.
Color Pigeon Loft, featuring 28 breeds of fancy pigeons, high-performance Turner rollers. We have birds available at all times. Capuchins, Saxon monks, Saxon priests, Swiss crescents, ice pigeon, saints, frillbacks, archangels, starling, figuritas, old German owls, Chinese owls, satinets, swallows, Saxon shields, and much, much more. For breed availability, visit www.colorpigeons.com. For purchasing, pricing, and shipping info, call toll-free 1-800-527-0918.
Muir Nagel, better known as Dr. Pigeon by his friends, is known by his one-eye cold treatment. It's called One Drop, One Time. It only takes one drop, it only takes one time. Every breeder needs at least one bottle of One Drop, One Time to keep in their loft for those nasty eye colds. They're available at Foy's Pet Supply, New England Pigeon Supply, and Pro Flight Supply. And remember, the next time you buy pigeon supplies, be sure to include one bottle of One Drop, One Time.
Okay, we're outside now and we're looking at my breeding loft. And it's a little bit different and unique that it's built on a cement slab, it's built on legs. Now the advantages to this, particularly where I live, it's not so cold that you can't do it. And it's easy cleaned, it's good ventilation, no mess. Now this thing, in a very small building, I have 18 individual breeding compartments, and you see 2 entrances. There's 9 on each side. In the left-hand back corner, I have a holding pen for the cocks. On the right-hand side, I have the exact same thing for the hens, and in the middle, I have my water, feed, and the place to keep my records, and this type thing. And on the back side, I have openings, and there is flights out back that the hens and cocks can go out and get the sun and the rain and enjoy it. And this has worked quite well for me over the years. Okay, we're in the breeding loft now, and what I want to show you is the individual breeding compartments. Now, they're basically built in twos. Now, the reason for that is I have a little door with a screen to keep everything out and water in the middle. And this it's circular and it's dowel rods. Two pairs can use the same water, which is it makes it convenient. In the front, I again have the way I can feed them. I just have the feeder with dowel rods, and you can feed them from the outside. Now, inside of this breeding loft or breeding compartment, there's a shelf up here. And on the shelf, I've got two nests. And the thing that I've done with the nest to make it convenient, if you'll look, it's on dowels, and it'll actually pick up. So when it comes time to clean up, pick up, it's easy to clean. Now, you'll notice now I've got two squeakers that are already out. This is theirs. I've got the hen is set, and she's been on the nest about 10 days. Now, you can take a small compartment. This is 32 by 24 by 4. You can put one pair in there, and you can really produce a lot of birds. You can do it quickly and easily. And again, this has worked well for me over the years. Okay, and this is the holding pen for the cocks. Again, I have the water with the dowels on the front with the gallon jar, and it's, as we mentioned, it's just nothing more than a holding pen. I can put the cocks in and feed them, and they can get outside. Okay, this little compartment, I have running water here, and that I can feed them with. I have my feed buckets here. I even have a little thing here that I can lay down if I want to, make notes and use my book, and it'll let up out of the way. Now, there's no use in putting this on the video, but over here just a rack, and this is the record books for this year. This is last year's record books, and just for reference. Now, what I do is when the birds lay, I've got a calendar hanging back here, and I just simply mark down the pair number on the calendar, and I also put it in my record book. And the way I keep my records is only the breeders are on the computer. Everything else is hard copy, and I can go to the computer and keep up with the breeders. And we've mentioned the importance of keeping good records. And if you'll notice, I breed in individual compartments. There is no doubt about who the parents are, that the parentage is there. There's one other thing I'd like for you to see in here is the sign. And this is something that I had printed years and years ago when computers was not very many around, the old dots matrix printer. And there's 4 words on it. It's velocity, control, frequency, and depth. Now, my birds, if they don't have velocity, and in roller people, they say velocity, but they're really referring to speed. They've got to have the speed or nothing else matters. And then if they don't have any control, naturally, that's the end of the story. But the frequency and the depth is important, but without speed, nothing else matters. Okay, this is my kit boxes, and I've got a lot of kit boxes, but it's built on exactly the same situation over there on the leg cement pad. Now, in this building, there is 6 kit boxes on each side. 12 kit boxes is something that I never, ever use that much. But on the other end, I've got a place for the water. One of these kit boxes is used to store feed and supplies. Each kit box can house 24 birds. They're roomy box purchased. There again, I don't use that many, but I don't like to crowd it. Now, another thing about this kit box is I have wire bottoms, I have open fronts. Now, a lot of people prefer a dark kit box. Personally, I don't see a lot of difference. And the advantages to having it like this far outweigh any disadvantage that I could think of. So this is strictly my preference, but this is my kit box setup. Okay, we talked about trap training young birds. Now this is my setup. I take a cage and just set on the top, and as you can see, the birds can get on the top, they can come out, there's a landing platform, there's a landing board, they can get on the top. Now the problems that I experienced years ago is if you hung a cage on the front, or if you put a cage on the top, the main problem I had was the birds coming from the top jumping down on the first time out. So I come up with this thing. And what I do is I put the young birds in here and I wean them. Now I feed them full feed, even let them have a little extra feed, and these birds will come in, they'll come out, and in a week to 10 days they're comfortable, they're real comfortable. And each time I feed them, I whistle softly, and they associate the whistling with the feed. Now, I make a decision after maybe 10 days, it depends on how comfortable the birds are, that I'm going to it's time to release them the first time. Well, what I do, I cut the rations in half and make sure they clean it up good. When I get them in, I'll shut this door. I'll take this down. And I have another platform built that I can just hang on brackets. Now, what we have here now, when I decide to release them, I open this. Now, you've got the same setup. This landing board, you've got that landing board. There's no wire. Everything else is the same to the birds. So they'll come out, they'll play around on the top. Sometimes they'll take long flights. They may land in trees, but whatever. But give them a little time. Let them come back on the top of the loft. They're hungry, start whistling, and usually most of them will go in readily. But if you have one or two stragglers, rather than to get into a real problem with them, what I always do, if there's one or two left, I just shut this, go over here, hang this on this one, open them, and trap the last two or three, move them over, and end the story for the first day. Now, when I start this process, I usually have found that the third day usually is that's when the magic happens. They usually just come together and seem to that everything starts working good after 3 days. So after 3 days, and I feel like I can get them to trap rather hurriedly. Now, all this time I am keeping the feed cut a little bit. I'll go in here and I want to show you this. Inside these bobs is the only thing I've built that you can slide back and you can add or take them off. What I'll do is take them off and add one bob. And then each day I'll add an extra bob. And after about 3 days they're trapping, they're going through the whole bit. Well, once I get this started to trap, they're going good, then I feed these birds again, a better ration, but always enough to make them trap. And at this point, I consider the birds to be trap trained. They're ready to start their real training. Okay, in here's a kid of birds that has gone through the initial trap training stage. And these are birds that I fly, and I try to fly them hard. I fly these birds every day, and if I can, I fly them twice a day. And again, I'm at this stage, I'm not feeding them as much, but I still realize that these birds are developing and that they're still young. They've got to fly hard, so I fly them. And they're flown this way until they start to perform. And I consider when a bird starts to spinning really hard and you get some deep spins and they start getting frequent, then they can no longer fly like this. So once they start doing that, I consider them ready for the next step. Okay, now it's time to have some fun. These birds right here, they've been flown, they're performing good, they're doing what they're supposed to do, and it's time for me to try to get the most out of them. Now, when I feed birds when they get here, my reference point is 1 tablespoon per bird per day, which is what most people do. And I feed wheat and milo for the most part. And what happens now, I fly these birds every other day. And if they're not flying long enough, you start increasing the feed a little bit. Now, you don't increase it a lot, just a little bit, and you see what happens over a period of a few days, and then a little more till you get them adjusted, and the same way coming down. Now, at this stage, I fly these birds about every other day, and I really expect a good performance out of them when I fly them. And occasionally, I'll get the birds a few days off, and when I do, I'll give them a little extra feed, let them rest, and I'll give them a little grit, and then they get back in their routine. So once you get them here, it's just fly them and have fun. All right, now what? There it comes. Now you may get a few breaks.